Coops, everyone's had their say about State of Origin. We will hear. Looking at the game, we always look at little things which are symbolic of the game itself. I reckon the first set from New South Wales is probably symbolic, coming out of trouble, and one of the back three, Zach Lomax. Bit of footwork, punches through, and they just marched down the field. That was almost the tail of the tape.
Yeah, totally agree. When you play at Suncorp, particularly game one, the Queensland jersey almost needs to bring the crowd into the contest, and the way you do that is through line speed in your first three tackles. Lomax stops that crowd slightly by running over and through Harry Grant, and then this carry here was the thing that changed it, I think. Finds Cherry Evans, gets through his front, and there's just a sense now that Queensland are on the back foot. It's only 30 seconds in the game.
Yeah.
And I think the intensity of the crowd, having friends there, sort of said it just sort of got zapped out. So the start that New South Wales provided through this set showed the direction they were going to go. And I thought one thing that Queensland lacked was the leg speed and line speed defensively. Yeah,
Coop. You just see that there. You know, it's amazing. You know, we always talk about game of inches and that. Yardage is exactly that.
Yep.
You know, they're coming together. Does New South Wales just push that extra half metre, or do Queensland win it? And you see there at the back end of that set what momentum does. And a team then has to defend on their heels. Defending on your heels, invariably you start making legs tackles and things like that, and it just multiplies. And we said last week, you know, in those really tight games, and you know this, Coop, as you know, bloke who was in charge of the attacking kicks in all the sides you played in, is that when a team is regularly in position for an attacking kick, you know, consistently, then they're the team that's in control. And I think in the first 10 minutes, I think Nathan had 3 attacking kicks.
Yeah.
So it just showed you the dominance in yardage.
And the other thing that also popped the balloon a little bit for Queensland was, I think Carrigan and Tino gave away a penalty, like a little bit of high contact or just something that was, look, you could say they could get away with it in Origin, but it just allowed New South Wales to get out, because when you want the crowd on your side, when you want to bring that intensity and aggression, the yardage, line speed defensively is where you get it. And I thought New South Wales set the game up through To'o, Lomax and Payne Haas. To'o, Lomax, Payne Haas. Then Nathan and Mitch Moses kicked the ball where they wanted to.
Geez, Nathan's running game was good, and that's crucial. It's crucial to Nathan because, you know, for people to understand this, if you're a playmaker, if you can start the game really attacking the line with your running game, then suddenly they have to account for you. And your run threat makes you a better ball player.
I like that one from dummy half. You don't often see a halfback from a kick return run from dummy half. It just shows that his mindset is, I'm taking this game on. And on the other side, like, this is really setting up his ball playing for later in the game. He did a good job for Stephen Crichton at one stage there, setting up a try for Lomax.
See that one there, Coops? And that one, that's the reward for the running, in the fact that he feigns, like, I'm going to run, and they squeeze.
And Cherry Evans comes out of line, doesn't stop Moses, and that ends up being the difference for To'o to put that down.
Haven't seen him do it as much this year, Nathan. But, Coops, one of the things I love with Nathan is sometimes he'll get the ball and he'll actually pretend to be lost. You know, he'll get there, he'll go to the line, he'll slow, and it's just all a con. And then you get back into two hands. And
you used to do that at sort of sometimes if you're having a centre on the out ball, like you stop as if the defence will stop, and then you catch them out with the slick pass.
Coops talking about, you know, Queensland and little moments. At the moment that I thought, no, the game's lost for Queensland, it was 14-6 New South Wales. Queensland, about 20 minutes ago, they're on the attack. It was a really poor set of 6, and I thought that set was probably symbolic of Queensland. And then Munster, he rushed a kick off his left foot. Lomax, I think, he diffuses it, and all of a sudden New South Wales have got the penalty. And at that point, you really see that the air went out of the stadium.
Yeah, and when people put their hands up in the air like they don't know what's going on, that comes down to communication, and that comes down to Munster and Cherry Evans. That kick there was a threatening kick, but Lomax was just on, and they didn't have any continuity in the way they went. There was another set where they just scored after Xavier Coates, and they ran the ball off that scrum, and Valentine Holmes got taken over into touch. I thought that was another turning point. Like, you don't get many opportunities in Origin, and when you take it, you've got to score points. And that ended up being the difference big time.
Coops, the Queensland attack, there was a period in the first half where I thought Queensland were really good.
Going to their right.
Going to the right. And they were attacking the combination of Latrell and To'o, and they were disconnected. You can see they were trying to work out their formula together, and they were having a lot of success down that side. And then the second half, Coop, The ball went completely the other way. I know Billy has a real thing with Lomax. He oftentimes attacks down Lomax's side, but it was strange, given the success you had in that first half.
This is the run from Cherry Evans I was referencing just before. Like, that was a threatening run, but I think that's not necessarily going away from the right-hand side. I think that's when the game's on the line, Munster's the dominant voice.
Right.
Munster would be saying, I want the ball, I want the ball, I want the ball. He's just multiple touches because he feels like he could do something. But if you analyse that game, and you just saw a run from Nane on the inside shoulder of Latrell. Latrell got beaten on the outside, where a pass from Cherry Evans. Like, if Cherry Evans needs to stand up if he's picked, but you got to make Latrell make multiple decisions in a set, not just one. He'll make the right decision, but you need to make him make multiple decisions. I think that's an opportunity for Queensland in game 2. To just find that disconnect slightly.
We'll talk about the selections for game 2 in Perth in a second, but one of the big talking points in the game, Coop, and this is not me trying to be a smart-ass in any way, shape or form, but where do you stand on the Spencer Leniu kickoff, which there's been a lot said about it?
It's chicken or the egg, right? Look at it, it's great vision. I love the fact that a New South Wales forward goes to Suncorp and just wants to roll up the crowd. Look, sometimes Origin is a lot of little things that ends up being the result. And one of those little things is, let's say they kick to Spencer off the kickoff. Let's say Spencer comes back and skittles 3 Queensland defenders.
Yeah.
Who's won that battle?
Of course.
Right? On the flip side, if Queensland go and pick him up and throw him 6 foot under the ground, that's where it sits. And Billy's sort of said that it was because Valentine Holmes was kicking off, didn't want to be short, but it's almost like if you're going to take him on, cut the snake's heads off and go after him type thing. So
it was a victory, in my opinion,
so.
It's a victory for Spencer.
End up being a little one. But if I was giving Billy advice, I'd be backing in Patrick Carrigan, Tino, line him up on him and kick to him first time.
Well, sometimes it sounds stupid, but sometimes the smart thing's not the right thing.
Yep, that's true, yep.
Performances?
But in saying that, would you rather tackle Max King or Spencer Leniu off the kick-off?
No offence to Max King.
I know who I'm going
It's a good
after.
point. It's a good point. Performances?
I'll take. What's yours? Give me a New South Wales wrap
First,
up and your best.
Special mention to Mitch Barnett and Liam Martin. I thought those two blokes they haven't been given as much credit as they deserve, but 1 point Isaiah, I thought it was one of his best ever State of Origin games. And he's just an intelligent player. To get out there and realise that he didn't need to be pushing the ball around the park. You got Nathan and you got Mitchell doing that. I thought he was tremendous. 2 points to Zach Lomax. Coop, in the last 10, 15 years, have you seen a player improve as much in 12 months as Zach Lomax? I can't. I was sitting there this morning. I can't think of anyone.
Like, to put a Queensland analogy to it, it's almost like when Dane Gagai first represented Queensland, when Valentine Holmes first represented Queensland. There's just a dramatic improvement in players when they either sink or swim at Origin level, and sometimes when they catch fire, their confidence just takes them to another level. Zach was outstanding. He was simply outstanding.
3 points, of course, Payne Haas. But and also a special mention, I forgot Reece Robson. Reece Robson, it's the most dangerous I've seen him getting out of dummy half. Tremendous
You don't
player.
often win the game in the first 20 minutes of Origin, but geez, you can set it up. And Payne Haas, through effort, intensity, care factor, and all those carries. Like, if you were to get quite analytical right now, Payne Haas gets tackled 2 or 3 off a kickoff, and he goes right foot across and he finds a soft defender in Cherry Evans. Rule number 1 is get up in front and don't let him skip across.
Your 3-2-1? Yeah.
I can't go too far off what you said, mate. I thought Payne Haas and Lomax were this close from being best player on the field. I'm going to give Cleary a big rap. I thought he was good.
My word.
He controlled that game, and I love the fact he set up that try for Lomax. Stephen Crichton carried the ball the set before and ran over the top of Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. And then the next set they get back, he goes to the same field position, sets up a play, but this time Crichton's running the lead runner inside shoulder on Hammer, and he throws a little double pump, and Hammer just bites because he's thinking that Crichton's going to run over the top of him. Plays out the back, Edwards sets up Lomax. I thought that was very intelligent.
There's been a bit of criticism about the game. People, I think some of it's been over the top. I've heard people say, "Oh, it's the worst Origin game I've ever seen."
No, that's not true.
I take exception to that. I reckon Game 2 could be one of the great Origins, mate. As a New South Wales, I have no doubt whatsoever. Game 2, Munster will be 9 out of 10. Harry Grant will be 9 out of 10. Daly Cherry Evans, and I reckon Billy will pick him because, in my opinion, you always give a champion an opportunity to redeem himself. I think this will be one of the great games.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're not going to miss the start this time around. And for what it's worth, there's a lot of talk. Like, Queensland could win game 2 with Cherry Evans at halfback, and they could win it with Tom Dearden. They're both good players, and it's about, what they got wrong in the first game to win game 2. But if I'm Billy, I'm having a face-to-face coffee with Daly, and I'm asking him, how do you feel about game 2? I'm saying, what does this mean to you? Can you deliver for your state this one? If I'm Billy and I walk away thinking he's my captain halfback, I'm picking him. If I feel like he's probably not there and hesitant, just a gut feel, I think I'm probably going Tom Dearden. But there's only one person who makes this decision, and that's Billy, and I would be backing in, hanging up the Queensland jersey in front of Daly one more time and saying, have you got it? And I think the answer is yes.
Well, I don't think Billy had to ask the question, or he doesn't have to ask it. I think the response from Daly against the Broncos the other night,
good.
I think it said it all. I think it was great. So
what about the Broncos?
I'm confused.
Tell me.
Coops.
Yeah, tell me.